And you mentioned that, some of the high performers, all of the high performers that you work with have really good habits, and you see that across the board, and they maintain their mental well-being day in, day out. What kind of habits do folks really, adopt and work on and build in order to maintain that status quo of mental
Yeah.
well-being?
Yeah. So there's quite a few to choose from, but I'll pick a few to focus on today. And the first one I want to cover is sleep. So sleep is the biggest one. I always say, if you don't know where to start, you've got so many things you could do. Sleep is 100% the one that's going to make the biggest impact on not just your mental well-being, but everything well-being related, your entire life. I actually read a study earlier this week that looked at a whole bunch of different lifestyle factors, what you eat and how much you train. And sleep was the one that had the biggest impact on decreasing your risk of depression. So
Wow.
sleep is definitely the big one. You're looking to get really between 7 to 9 hours of sleep. If you're trying, I see this a lot. If you're trying to get 7 hours, because obviously high achievers, high performers, we have a lot on our plate, want to shove as much into a day as we can. So we're like, I'll get 7 hours. So I see a lot of people going to bed at like 11 o'clock and waking up at 6. The problem with that is that you're in bed. Sure, you might be in bed for 7 hours, but you're not sleeping for 7 hours. Takes time to fall asleep. Maybe you go to bed at 11, but actually you're kind of in bed now at 11:15. So you really want to try to say, if you're trying to go to bed or fall asleep by 10:45, make it so that you're actually getting those 7 hours of sleep at a minimum, because it's so important. And I hear this time and time again. When the clients, when they first come to me, they're like, oh yeah, we'll look at their, wearable data. If they have wearables, we can see that, they're getting between like 5.5, 6.5 hours. And they're like, yeah, I feel fine. Like, I'm great. I'm still going. I've got all this stuff to get on with. And we work on it, and they slowly become more motivated to work on their sleep. And, a few months down the line, it is remarkable. They come back and they're like, oh my goodness, I had no idea how much energy I could have. I had no idea like how much better I would feel with this much sleep. It's not a huge difference. It's half an hour, 45 minutes, but it does make a massive difference in how you feel. And it's funny. It's with all healthy habits. People don't realize how good they can feel until they start to adopt it.
Of course.
A very common thing I hear is that they start to perform a lot better. So they're working more effectively because they're a lot more focused. They obviously feel better. They have more energy. And a big one I hear with parents is that they say that they are less short with their children. So again, coming back to that, they're responding and not reacting to their kids. They're not being triggered. There's a bit of space because they're not so tired. They're able to choose their response in a different way. So yeah, the first one I would say is get your sleep.
Oh, and I mean, it's something that sounds so simple, but to your point, and you get in bed and you think, I'm in bed for 9 o'clock, or okay, maybe I'm showing my grandma side for 9 o'clock to be
Yeah.
asleep for 9:30. But
Yeah.
then if your cell phone's in the room, or if you decide to read, whatever that looks like, particularly the cell phone, I think that's a habit that I personally need to break. And it's again, it just takes understanding what it could look like on the other side, which is, I'm really happy that you highlighted some of those benefits of having more energy and also just being less short, especially because your kids bookend your day. So when are you the most tired? Probably when you wake up and go to sleep, which is fascinating.